should be talking about round two of this back-to-back with Philadelphia Union. Instead, we're just doing a take two with the first game tonight after the rain out in the U.S. Open Cup. Dave Leno, the Union radio voice, back to give us some more insight. Maybe I should have just cut and pasted a lot of what was said the other day, Dave, before the game on Wednesday, which was just so crazy, and you feel bad for players, staff, fans that came out for what would have been a great night, but it now sets up an intriguing game here this evening. And I think one of the things I'd like to start with is, rare is the time that you would have seen both teams come out, line up, know who was going to play, and then no game whatsoever. So I think in the chess match, maybe that starts this game tonight is who's back in the lineup and who isn't.
I think that is the million-dollar question. That's going to be very interesting for both sides. What's beneficial for the Union and its Union fans is that, we're getting Ty Brebo back closer to full strength coming off of the calf injury, and he was stuck in Israel. You're getting Quinn Sullivan, Nate Harriel back from the Gold Cup with the U.S. team. So we'll see if those guys factor in to the starting 11 for this matchup. And I'm looking forward to seeing, on your side, do you go with Marcucci, the backup keeper, or do you go with Carlos Miguel Coronel, who played with us in 2019 on loan, and also with Bethlehem Steel back then, our then Union 2 team. So I agree. I think it's teams that have similar pressing styles, albeit maybe different when it comes to the scouting and how the coaching staffs tinker with the pressure and the counter pressing. I think all the data metrics, when I analyze the amount of running that the Red Bulls and the Union deploy, how high up the field both teams win the ball. And I think I said to you the other day before we tried to play the U.S. Open Cup quarterfinal, I don't know if there's going to be 10 chances for Union, 10 chances for Red Bulls in the game, and maybe there will be. And I hope for you and I calling the game, we got a lot of thrilling calls, and I hope the fans see a great one tonight. But I think defensively, for me, both teams are really going to need to be stout, playing carefully out of the back due to the pressure for this matchup.
It's interesting when you look at it, and I think, maybe a little cliche would be when you play a pressing team, go and press them because sometimes that makes them uncomfortable. You made a great point. You have two pressing teams tonight. So to me, it's more about, and I don't know the answer, you don't know the answer, but it's fun to speculate. Do one of these teams tonight sit back a little bit to make the other team, in theory, more uncomfortable?
And that's a very, very good point because several teams, even going back to last year, what they would do, and I'm thinking maybe of the Nashville game where they're not going to possess the ball high up the field, and they're going to say, "Hey, Union, you have the ball and try to build out of the back." Like in the 63rd minute against Nashville last league game, there was a red card to one of their midfielders, Jonathan Perez, and then we're up a man, we're playing more of a possession type game, which is exactly, I think, to no secret of anybody that the Union do not want to do. So I don't know if Red Bulls in this matchup says, all right, we're going to maybe play a mid to low block, which I don't think happens, but let's just speculate for conjecture and say, okay, we're going to play a mid block, and Union, you're going to try to build around us and see what you can do. And I think one of the areas that the coaching staff for the Union and the players are continuing to work on and training, gearing up for these matchups is being a little bit crisper on the ball, connecting 1, 2, 3 passes in transition, want to go quick, whether it's vertical from our center backs, Glesnes or Macanio or somebody else starting, or it's, releasing the outside backs forward, which I think that, the Union moving forward, and I said this to you the other day, want to create more opportunities around what I call the green zone, like just outside the 18, if you will, going towards your goal. And I think if we can play a little bit more combination play and get those opportunities, we will be successful. The goal differential, we're at the top of the East. We're no shortage of scoring, even though we've been shut out in the last 2 league games. And for the Union, this is our first 2-game losing skid of the entire year, losing to Columbus, losing to Nashville. So now we have a stretch of all these home games. I think it's like 5 of 6 right now, maybe across all competitions at home. Our schedule, as it relates to some of the other clubs who are at the top of the table, I think objectively is a lot easier. And lastly, I'll say, Matt, I think it's a big matchup for both sides. I know you guys are right now coming in, and I'm looking at on my sheet, 8th right now, just behind City and Orlando. And for us, you got Nashville playing Miami. You got the Hell is Real matchup with Cincinnati and Columbus. And we're 2 points off the top spot. We slid from first to third. and a rivalry matchup against you guys. It's going to be a lot of fun, and of course, it means a lot to both teams.
Dave, talk to me a little bit about a guy that you're high on, and I know, and I think he's one of the better center backs in the league, but maybe doesn't get the attention, and that's Jacob Glesnes. He's been with the Union for the last couple of years. He's been the mainstay in some regards of the transition from Jim Curtin to now Bradley Carnell. And it seems like, to me at least, he's almost re-elevated his game with new coach, new coaching style.
He is so important. He's the fulcrum of that back line for me, along with Wagner, along with a guy like Nate Harriel just came with back from the U.S. with the Gold Cup, and Nate played all four positions on the back line. And as it means to Glesnes, you got to remember going back to last year, and you've called many of these Union Red Bull matchups. You know that pairing of Glesnes and Jack Elliott were there for a very long time. Jack goes to free agency and goes with Berhalter to Chicago, and he's a captain there. We saw him several games ago, which was great. Glesnes, coming off of injury, coming off of a hernia surgery, had a little bit up and down year because of that last year. And then you go, and it wasn't just singling out him or Elliott. It was a multitude of errors. We didn't have Andre Blake for most of the year last year due to injury as well. He was named to his third All-Star game this year. I think with Glesnes, what I've called just in my play-by-play is that there have been so many opportunities where he's come up with key blocks in really big pressured moments. And I think you need that veteran presence, like you said, bringing in Bradley Carnell, bringing in the new staff, the new system from the 4-4-2 diamond for the 4-2-2. It's also different for center backs. And for Glesnes, what you'll see in the organization for this matchup is the Union like to play a high line of confrontation. So don't be surprised when folks are watching or listening to us calling the game that the Union go all the way to the halfway line, to the center line, and they're gonna put that pressure on the Red Bulls. And then what also I admire from a guy like Glesnes or the guy next to him, Makanya, is the recovery sprints, their willingness to get back. If Kai Wagner goes forward, whoever starts on the right, we've been hurt a lot on the back line this year. Aside from Wagner on the left, he's been a mainstay. You have Glesnes, and then you also have Owetu Makanya, who's a 21-year-old South African who's played very well, even though he was the culprit for the foul called in the box last game. It's really his first year playing, didn't really play at all under Jim Curtin. So that's a lot on Glesnes to bring along this guy who plays on the left, Makanya. And then Glesnes, what I was saying about the injuries, there's been so many other guys at right back. We played Ali Bedoya at right back in Chicago and Columbus. So I talk all about partnerships. So we're great. Hopefully, maybe Nate Harriel starts at right back for this matchup. Maybe Olivier Bizo at right back. We've seen a lot of guys. Frankie Westfield has been injured, who's been a star. And he's only 20 from Northeast Philly. But he was featured on the bench for the game that didn't be played on Wednesday for the Open Cup. So Glesnes has done well regardless of who's around him. And then the number sixes are different. Jovan Lukic comes in from Serbia, Danley. So Glesnes is so crucial to the team. And I think one of the reasons why the Union have 40 points through 21 games is Glesnes in the play defensively.
Dave, appreciate your time. See you in a few hours. Weather forecast looks really good for tonight. Hopefully
I'm hoping
it's there and we've got a good atmosphere. Always fun when these teams play. Catch up with you in a little bit.
Thank you very much.